things that we're dealing with. And so, I don't know. I think
But,
that. Go
but,
ahead. I'm
but,
sorry. Go
but
ahead.
Dominic, I'll say this:
Okay.
every single issue that Donald Trump ran on in 24 that were top of mind for voters, the economy, immigration, and such. Every single issue that's top of mind for voters in America, guess what? Republicans and Donald Trump are underwater on, including his approval rating. So that tells me that people are finally waking up to the idea that they have done a piss poor job on governing. Because it's one thing to make all these promises on the campaign side, Dominic, as you know very well. It's another thing when you have to actually implement them from a governing standpoint. They do not know how to govern, and as a result, even Trump world or Trump voters are suffering. You mentioned the ICE raids. I'm glad you mentioned it. Out of all the shucking and jiving and bojangling around they've been doing around these ICE raids, you know how many people they've actually captured with actual criminal records? 60.
Mm. What?
60. And you think
Wow.
about the millions of dollars that have been spent and all the time and effort that has been spent, it's been a waste of time.
Mm.
And they've been fooling us that all these things are happening. Meanwhile, on the other hand, they want to talk about being conservative with government and all these things, but yet they're wasting government money
Mm-hmm.
with having ICE raid churches and schools and grocery stores and so forth. And many of these people, they have to let them go because guess why? They haven't done anything wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and they're
Mm-hmm.
not criminals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hot button issues Monday, y'all. What we doing out there? Even with this, well, I know we're gonna hear the music, but this whole deal with Venezuela, want to talk about that and get your input on that. Antoine C. Right, we're taking your calls. Hot button issues Monday. You can join in on the conversation. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors. But there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talent in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones. And too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about it is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what are you doing National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughter started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the door's open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want.
But the fact of the matter is, Rosa Parks was not only the mother of the modern civil rights movement, she was the mother of this nation. Why would you say that, Sharpton? Because you called George Washington the father of the nation, but when he became father, we wasn't included in the nation. Women were not included in the nation. The first time we had a parent in this nation is when all of us was included, and Rosa Parks did that on December 1st, 1955. I heard somebody say Jim Crow is who she fought, and Jim Crow is still around. But Jim Crow is old. That's not who I'm mindful of today. The problem is Jim Crow has sons. The one we got to battle is James Crow Jr. Esquire. He's a little more educated. He's a little slicker. He's a little more polished. But the results are the same. He doesn't put you in the back of the bus. He just puts referendums on the ballot to end affirmative action when you can't go to school. He doesn't call you, erase your name. He just marginalizes your existence. He doesn't tell you that he's set against you. He sets up institutional racism, where you have a nation respond looking for weapons in Iraq that are not there, but can't see a hurricane in Louisiana that is there. James Crow Jr. Esquire. That's who we got to fight. And if we are to win, if we are to really memorialize Rosa Parks, she would tell us to do in the generation of his son what she and Dr. King did to his daddy. They didn't talk a fight, they fought the fight. They didn't show up at funerals, they showed up on the picket line and the march line and the jailhouse. It amazes me that we sit there acting like we don't have work to do. And that many of us in our own community are mocking her memory. They formed a movement when they had none of what we got. You realize that Dr. King and Dr. Abernathy and them formed a boycott after Rosa Parks, where people stayed off the bus for a year, went to rallies every night, and they never had email, never had a cell phone, never could go online. Here you got 2 cell phones in your pocket, emails, computers at the house, and can't even get a block association meeting together. We got so much more that they gave us, and we're doing so much less with it. They went to vote when people were threatening their lives. Medgar Evers was shot dead in his driveway, left 3 children inside that never knew how it was to have a father in their adult years, died to give us the right to vote. Pregnant women marched through the streets of Birmingham. They sick police dogs on them to give us the right to vote. 4 little girls bombed in a church in Birmingham, Alabama to give us the right to vote. And here you are 40 years later in Detroit, Michigan. No dogs biting you, no bombs going off, no bullets, too lazy and ungrateful. Making mockery of her memory. Making mockery of her memory. Nobody should have to beg you to vote. Nobody should have to beg you to stand up and protect the rights that they died and suffered to give us. You can't take care of one thing on the ballot in Michigan when they had to change the laws of all 50 states. You complain.
We're taking your calls across the country. You can call us at 1-877-532-5797. And welcome to all those that are joining us on the message board, watching us via live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. Good afternoon, y'all. I know we had a few technical difficulties, but we're live and direct coming to you and want you to join us. Brother Antoine, we got a lot of folks holding on. So without further ado, I want to get back into it. Let's go to Bob, who's listening to us from Atlanta on line 2. Bob, you're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Yes. Yes, good afternoon, my sister. Let me take you off the speaker while I was waiting. I am so elated that I was able to get through. And I, too, am praying for Reverend Jesse Jackson. I am in my late 60s, so your father and Jesse Jackson have been my mentors all the way through the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s. And we all are praying that he'll have a full recovery. Yes. And if it's God's will, he will have a full recovery.
Yes, yes.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Can you? Good, because I've been up all night and got off work at 10 o'clock, even though I was supposed to work from 11 to 7, but I was determined to stay woke so I could hopefully get through to you, and I said that was nothing but God. We had national news on Veterans Day, and I'm sure a lot of people heard it, that it was either Veterans Day or the day after Veterans Day. The government is going to fine Google for spying on citizens, something that people like me have been suspicious of for the last 15, 18 years. And because most of us did not know, about what Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and all those other computer geeks know. The internet has really been allowed to run carte blanche, free reign. And we, all of our citizens, in order for you to get YouTube or Facebook or Google, allow me to spy on you, allow me to listen to your recordings, allow me to read your emails and messages and texts. We're supposed to be a constitutional republic that practice democracy. We're not communist China, we're not Russia, and we're not North Korea. But yet, all of us have been suspicious ever since the Obama phone that our government is like a police state and a surveillance state, and they gave us those free phones to put in the minds of the AIs that's going to be these police robots, where everything that we said, like boo and all this other language that's in the inner city, they'll be able to totally relate to us. But the reason I waited to hopefully get through today, and it was God's will, I believe that I did, all of us as citizens in America need to demand our government oversight on this Google and YouTube and Instagram. Who are these people? My research showed that Google was started by two little geek white boys in their mother's basement from Stanford University. Now they're multi-billionaires, and they're doing a lot of illegal stuff. I've been having phone problems for the last 15 years or so, covering tape over my camera and this and that, the other, putting on the airplane mode, turning off the location. Who are these people who know everything about our mothers, our fathers, our grandfathers, our grandchildren, and we know nothing about these people? So now we have an opportunity, like I did last week. I called my senator in Washington, D.C., Ossoff, senator of Georgia, and I called my other senator, Warnock, and I left a message and let them know we need more oversight over these people who have been running free reign, because the average citizen don't know what they know, these geeks know about computers, and they have literally been spying on American citizens when you're in the bathroom, when you're making love, when you're talking a private conversation between four ears. There's always been two more ears listening. And we don't need to let this pass, because there was nothing we could do until I heard that about Veterans Day, about the government is ready to fine them billions of dollars or whatever for spying on American citizens illegally. This is important. We know we're being attacked from every end and every corner, but it's okay, because we know who we are and whose we are. And we know that when this is all over, like God has brought us this far, he's going to bring us through the 21st century, through AI and all of that garbage that they think they're going to play God. All I'm saying is this here. Please, citizens, please, we must talk to our government legislators and the people that we put in office, and let them know we need oversight. I mean, our kids from Generation X, Y, Z, and Millennial, they came up from kindergarten on this stuff. So they we don't care who's spying on me. So we understand. I mean, it's amazing. 9 out of 10 of the kids, they don't care. But see, that's why they playing on the kids, because they know I am in my late 60s. Jesse Jackson, Reverend Al Sharpton. So they already know once they get rid of all this off the scene, they're going to be totally in control of these kids through this device that is like the tree of good and evil and the tree of knowledge in the Garden of Eden. Right. So all I'm saying is please think about what I'm saying and call your representatives and say, hey, I'm tired of being spied on through my telephone. Please, citizens, because I know we're fighting a lot of things, but this is important, because we're not communist, socialist, North Korea, but yet we are more communist, socialist, and police state than North Korea and China and Russia will ever be. The hypocrisy of this country forever. All right, ma'am. I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for calling. I have to let you express yourself, of course. I know you've been waiting up all night, as you said, to get on the air. So wanted to make sure that you had ample opportunity and space to say what's on your mind this Hot Button Issues Monday. And thank you so much for your call, for keeping it real. Pam is holding on in Chicago. Pam, you are keeping it real, holding on line 5. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
How you doing, Pam?
Dominique. Hey, how are you? Good
I'm
to hear
right.
you. And is Anwan there?
I'm here.
No. Oh, hi. Hello. First and foremost, let me just say, with Reverend Jackson, it is disgraceful that the media erroneously reports things. I mean, it is just disgraceful. But that is where some of our journalism and news reporting has gotten to. So I'm so thankful to Reverend Sharpton for pulling out the truth, as well as we have the family here in Chicago and Representative Jonathan Jackson.
Yes.
He's also been telling people the truth about the condition of his father. So we are praying for Reverend Jackson.
Yes.
And just allow me to say this. We are so thankful for his stewardship and his work and his dedication to make this world better. Dominique, he has made this world better for everybody. And just imagine one moment if he had won either one of those presidential elections, where we would be, the trajectory that this country would be if he had won, particularly in 98, but 94 as well, where we would be. I am so thankful for his work and his sacrifice and the sacrifice of his family. And I always say that, Dominique, about to Reverend Sharpton, and I say it about his family. Because I know you all pay a price when civil rights leaders take a stand for people and for justice and to make things right. So I'm asking us to make sure we support NAN, we support Rainbow Push with our money as much as we can volunteer, as much as we can do. We need to do it right now in this time because you all are fighting back.
All right.
Now, can I just go one moment? Let me go to the election. Excuse me. What's happening with I call him the adjudicated sexual abuser.
All right, Pam.
Because that's
Let's hold you over the break because I know we got this music playing. I don't want you to get cut off if that's okay. Hold on. Let's take this break. It's Dominique Sharpton. I'm sitting in with Antoine C. Wright. Hot Button Issues Monday. 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They called me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
and I had to learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing. And I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are, and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
when Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old with the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
Hey, what's up? They got, they're doing, thank you. They're doing, what's on your mind? Yeah. All right, then, oh, you got a birthday this week. I got to talk about that.
Oh, no.
Happy birthday this weekend. And Carrie White's birthday, right?
Corey's birthday is today.
Yeah, and I got to tell, well, first, you ready, Daniel, your 5th chapter.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's daughter, sitting in with Brother Antoine Seawright. We're taking your calls on this Hot Button Issues Monday. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can join us on the message board, live, watching us via live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. Brother Antoine, we were talking before the break with Pam. Pam from Chicago, are you still on?
Yes, I am.
All
Can
right.
you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm here. Okay, great. So, Antoine, I want to make sure that we're clear about this because as we move forward with the elections, this is your expertise. And I don't know if you're working with the Democratic Party right now as a strategist, but here's my concern. We know that almost 90 million people didn't vote. So we give that. And there has to be something done about that. But, Antoine, what I ask is that we cannot ignore the almost 4 million people who were purged from the rolls. which would have made a difference. And the only reason I'm saying that's the case because of Greg Palast's investigation, which was verified by Push, because I know Rainbow Push is not going to bring anybody to the table with false information. And so those two things can exist simultaneously. So you being the Democratic expert, strategist, I'm asking that we have a strategy for both, because we can push for more people to get registered and come out to vote. But what if the Republicans' playbook is to next time we'll purge 10 million or 20 million from the rolls? Does that make sense to you, Antoine, that we've got to look at both numbers? And lastly, the Democratic Party should be calling Trump the rapist that he is. Judge Kaplan said that the verdict found Trump had raped Carol, according to the definition of the word. Now, if he's a convicted felon and a rapist, we should label him that, not so we can win points, but because, Antoine, it is the truth. It is abhorrent what he did. And we can't let that stand. So I know I put two things out there, but for me, Dominique, I can't deal with anybody who supported him. I really can't. I'm not going to hate him, but I cannot deal with him, and I'm not going to excuse it and release the Epstein file. Not because we want some victory, but because the victims demand it. Because right now I'm reading Virginia Giuffre's book, Nobody's Girl. And it's disgusting. You have millionaire and billionaire pedophiles out there who are still a part of this sex ring, and they're being protected by the Republican Party. That has to be called out on all counts. So the strategy for getting 90 million people registered and voting, I know it's not an easy task, but let us know what we can do in the process, because I'm always willing to get out and do the work, Antoine, with everybody else.
Well, I don't think you should depend on anybody to come save you. So I'm glad to hear that you are willing to do the work, and I think others need to join you in your efforts. Look, I hear a lot of people criticizing the Democratic Party. I think that's fine. I love the Democratic Party, which is why I don't mind criticizing my party either, because I want it to be better. However, there are a lot of people who don't want to be associated with the Democratic Party. So fine if you don't want to be associated with the Democratic Party, fine if you're pissed off with our party, but don't get pissed off with democracy and the fight for our future, because democracy is a gift, not a guarantee. And if we don't stay in the fight for it, then we're going to lose it. The other thing I would say to your point is, while, yes, we need to focus on the voter registration, but my whole thing is, as you kind of alluded to, is voter participation. In my home state of South Carolina, it's not that we don't have enough people registered who would be ideal votes for the Democratic Party. It's that they don't participate. So we've got to focus on participation. And lastly, Dominique, I'll just say this. Progress is not permanent. When the Voting Rights Act was signed into law in 1965, which was 60 years ago, we thought that was going to be the end of the conversation for Black Americans having the right to vote. Since then, they have been relentless in their pursuit to take away those rights and to roll back the Voting Rights Act. As we sit on this radio today, the Supreme Court is sitting on a decision of whether or not they're going to roll back Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which, keep in mind, they've already rolled back Section 4. What does that mean? The total extermination of Black political power, mainly across the South. That will impact 19 congressional districts across the South. Why are they doing that? Because we've taken our eye off the ball and we've got comfortable with just being able to have the right and not using that right. And my math teacher used to say all the time, Dominique, whatever you do not use, you will lose. That's why you got to practice math every day. And that's why we've got to practice voting every single election. So I'm watching all of it. I'm watching the voting rights. I'm watching the voter participation, the registration, but I'm also watching the motivation, because we've got to have motivation, education, activation, then participation.
All right now.
But thank you, Dominique. And let me just say, Dominique, today I was picking up a prescription. There was an elderly gentleman who couldn't get his prescription for $2.50. I mean, this health care issue is real. So naturally, I told him, the pharmacist, give him his medicine and just let him go on with his dignity. And that, and I signaled that I would, myself and my sister would, absorb the cost. But this healthcare thing is real, Dominique, and shame on the Republicans and this administration. Thank you for letting me get that out on this Monday. And we appreciate you, Dominique, and appreciate you also, Antoine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pam. But no, you're right. I do feel, and Brother Antoine was spot on with this, and this is why I'm so grateful anytime I get to talk to this brother, because we need to continue to shed this type of light on people. But you're absolutely right, and I feel like we really just need to keep having these conversations, because information, I think, is a key element that we need to continue to enhance and strengthen, especially our communities with, and keep having these conversations where we're informed, in order to stay active. So thank you so much, Pam, and thank you, Brother Seawright, for that amazing response to Sister Pam's inquiries. Bob is holding on line too, listening to us from Atlanta. Bob, if you're there, you're keeping it
We
real.
lost Bob. We lost Bob. We lost.
Oh, we lost Bob. Okay, Rick from Germany, you there? Line one. Always good to
Can you
speak
hear me
with
now,
you, Brother
sis?
Rick. Yes, I can.
Good day to you, Miss Dominique, and good day to Brother Antoine Seawright.
Good day.
Is Antoine there?
I'm here, sir. Good day to you.
Okay. I have about 4 quick points, and I'll make it quick. First of all, I want to say to Pam from Chicago that Epstein is dead, and none of the powers that be there in America are going to prosecute Trump for anything he did in a pedophile sex ring from a few years back. They're not going to prosecute him. You can only have these files released for public entertainment, but there's going to be no prosecution. You're not going to shame Trump out of office, and you're not going to shame him into prison. It's not going to happen. Second, Jesse Jackson, all prayers go up, and I would also like the public to know that there's going to be some sort of march for Brother Mumia Abu Jamal, the Black Panther reporter who was accused of killing a Philadelphia police officer. Third, the brother from what is it? Demetrius.
Yes.
You talked to Demetrius today.
Yes.
The brother was talking about Ukraine, and he was talking about Russia's willingness to invade Ukraine for resources, one of which is wheat. But also, Russia claims that it has been attacked through Ukraine from France and even Great Britain on a couple of occasions. And so Russia claims that they're only defending themselves. I think we need to know a little more about Ukraine and Russia relations and where Jewish people fit into that, before we blame Russia, put all the blame on Russia. And lastly, I would like to say that Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk are creating a deception around going to Mars. What they're really trying to do is put ships in orbit around Earth so that some few will have a chance at surviving apocalypse. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm done.
Oh, Rick. There's the music. No, Rick, thank you so much for keeping it real. I got a lot to say. I'm going to hold it for after the break. I also want to get to some of the message boards, some of their comments. But Rick, I don't think anyone's above this law here. I think that we can see some things happening if we stay truth to our power and stay in the action. I don't know. I got more to say, but let's take a break, Antoine. Dominique Sharpton, I'm sitting in with Antoine Seabright, taking your calls across the country. It's Hot Bun Issues Monday. Call us 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
So it's become almost an unhealthy habit how much I'm listening to Keep It Real, because it is the realest thing on the air anywhere, whether it be online or whether it be on the radio or wherever it's coming into you from, because there's no one of Rev's importance and caliber who is as dominant a media figure as he is, who allows people to speak at length, and who he treats with equal respect and admiration with every call, whether he agrees with you or not. And I'm not gonna throw shade at anybody, but there are a lot of people with big platforms like the Rev has who are afraid to talk to the people and who are afraid that the people will keep it real with them. And he never shies away from anything any of us want to talk to him about. And he doesn't shut you up. It's not a soundbite, it's a conversation. So I would like people in media to learn from this man who is carrying MLK's torch. Don't be afraid of people. Listen to them, respect them, and stand in God and stand in truth. Thank you, Nan. Thank you, Rev. Thank you, everybody who puts this together and sends it out across the world, because we need much more of it. Bless you.
You have states outright saying you can't teach Black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes blacks. We don't want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight in the courts and the streets, because they're literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunity, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, which they started at Harvard with a black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, at ACP with the French together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation, then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back in this. Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path. Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones-Austin is... every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, to call in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton.
We have a young man in the studio who I think is an astounding young brother because of his youth. He's only 19 years old and he's accomplished a lot, and he's here to make a presentation to James Brown, and we'd like to welcome him warmly. His name is Al Sharpton. How about it for Al Sharpton? Al is the National Director of the National Youth Movement Incorporated. Right, Al?
That's right.
And what do we have here?
Well, we come to break tradition We know that in the recording industry that they give a gold record to those that achieve a million seller. But we view your million seller payback as a black record because it is relevant and says many of the things that young blacks have tried to say and could not musically express in our own little way. And we feel the payback is sort of like the theme song of Young Black America in 1974.
Now, before you go into the title tune of your latest album, you have a special guest.
Yeah, I do have a special guest, a young
That's
lady.
going to perform with you.
Yeah, she gonna.
Please receive.
Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's eldest daughter, sitting in for the Rev. Rev is in Chicago today. As many of you know, we've heard over the weekend of a lot of news that have spread on Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson Sr., who has been hospitalized and treated. He's being treated for progressive supranuclear palsy. And Reverend Sharpton went to Chicago to visit his mentor and his friend. And he reported earlier on Keeping It Real that Reverend Jackson is not on life support, that he is lucid and speaking even, and giving Rev some orders, he said, on what to do with the ministers over the holidays. And so he said, you know, and it was great to hear of course of the update on Reverend Jackson. And we know that certainly we will keep him in our prayers and keep his family in our prayers. We know and believe in the spirit of healing, especially coming through on this holiday season. And so we want to uplift Reverend Jesse Jackson and lift him up in prayer. And Reverend Sharpton is in Chicago today visiting Reverend Jackson. But I'm sitting in with Brother Antoine C. Wright, and it's Hot Button Issues Monday. We're taking your calls. You can join in on the conversation today by calling us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And I know that we had some technical difficulties earlier, but we are back up on the live stream. And those who want to join us on the message board, we are taking your comments as well on the message board if you're watching us via live stream on nationalactionnetwork.net. Certainly been talking about a lot, and I wanted to get to this as yes, I am Rev's daughter, for somebody asking on the message board. Thank you for clarifying that. I'm one of two daughters. I'm the oldest. But yeah, somebody was writing on the message board earlier, and I wanted to address this, Brother Antoine, as we were talking about some of the ramifications, of course, that are coming out of this government shutdown. And you were very, you were elaborately laying out some of course, the benefits and, some of the things that we can look forward to that have come out of the government shutdown, come out of this shutdown. But as we know, there are millions of people who have been questioning and dealing with, of course, losing their benefits to the SNAP program, and getting government assistance to buy food and necessities. And so someone was asking or mentioning on the message board, I wanted to try to pull that up as I wanted to address that, Brother Antoine, that people are saying that you have to reapply now for SNAP. In the event now that we have to reapply, as they are trying to, of course, come to solutions as to how millions of people will receive their SNAP benefits or continue to receive it, or if they would, of course, discontinue, getting these benefits. Is it true that we have to now reapply to rejoin the SNAP program in the event that they start, alleviating some of these constraints?
Well, Reverend Dominique. Dominique, let me set the SNAP stage for you. First of all, earlier this year, the Republicans instituted the largest cut to SNAP in American history, $186 billion, and that was right alongside the $100 trillion cut to Medicaid, largest in American history. So let's set the tone starting there, that they are not pro-life; they are pro-birth. Because if you're pro-life, then you would care about the 42 million Americans who own SNAP, 27% white, 37% white, 26% African American, 15% Latino. The 86% of those families, of those who receive those benefits, are working or in a household where there's working families. 47% receive those benefits, disabilities. 39% seniors, 46% household with a child, 1.2 million veterans, and 25,000 active duty soldiers, not to mention the 30 some odd percent that are college students. So when we talk about SNAP, it's not just people sitting around in the ghetto or playing video games. These are working class Americans, 86% of them. So let's start there. But what they tried to do, or what they're insinuating, is that they found 500,000 people who are dead receiving SNAP benefits. So Secretary Rollins, the USDA secretary, the one who refused to send out SNAP benefits during the government shutdown, even though it was a plan they had already instituted and had already leaked in September, that if we were in a government shutdown, they had the funds available. So the lady who illegally withheld funding for SNAP for millions of Americans is now saying that she all of a sudden found all these dead people on the SNAP rolls, and that they're going to make it a requirement that people have to reapply to SNAP. Well, every year, Americans have to reapply for all their benefits. That's not anything new. Well, for the most part, those who get assistance, they always cuts and bruises to the program, so they have to reapply. But what they're trying to do is figure out a way, the same way they're doing healthcare, in order to eliminate people off the program. So what I'm looking for USDA to do is to reimagine the program and put all kind of stipulations on who can receive SNAP. We saw some of that before in history, where they implemented work requirements and all this other stuff. And so look for that to be flushed out even more. That has been a subject line. It has not been an implementation line just yet.
So in all actuality, so are we pushing for a reformation of this, or is this like what we need to get used to being the new way of life?
Well, Dominique, Project 2025 was very clear in a number of things. One, they want to rearrange government. And so part of this is cutting vital programs that have been the lifeline to all communities. What I don't think they realize, just like SNAP and healthcare and all these other things, they impact Trump's America, or Trump version of America, more so than us. 37% white who on SNAP. I told you the 18.2 million Americans in places that Donald Trump won are on the Affordable Care Act subsidies. And so they're looking to reshape government in any which way they can. You think about the 40,000 jobs they've cut from the VA and all the other cuts they made to government. So I'm not surprised if they try to defund the entire program if they could. And so that's why when we talk about elections having consequences and people say Joe Biden didn't do anything for me, well, hell, if Joe Biden didn't do anything for you, then why in the world are they trying to get rid of the ACA subsidies that came from the Biden-Harris administration? And that's why you talked about our people need to be informed. We've got to be better informed. If Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did not do anything, then why some of the first act and some of the acts they're doing in this administration is undoing what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris had done.
So how do we re-energize that? So there's a lot of people who have lost energy, lost faith in the Democratic Party, right? And saying that, we don't know what's going on with the Dems. The Dems is losing their touch. How do we re-energize people to believe in the party, as we know we need to move forward and do a lot of things coming up?
Well, I think it's bigger than the party, Dominique. I think we've got to re-energize people on purpose. And I think that if people understand purpose and assignment, and they understand what this fight is all about, the party they affiliate or the party they vote for will make sense, because there's nothing the Republican Party is doing that's helping anybody in America except the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected. And if you think about working class, and yes, working class means African American too. Working class means African American too, then that means they are hurting just as much as we are.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you, Happiness Donut, saying that I did not know there were some active service members who were on SNAP. Man, oh man, It's real out there. It's real. And Brother Antoine is spot on in saying that, the fact that we need to, keep our information. We need to definitely tap into being informed. But to really know, a lot of people have, and I see some of I'm not even going to repeat some of these comments that people are saying because I think that some people are just out of touch, honestly speaking. And that's good that you're tuning in and keeping it real so we can help keep you informed as we are doing the work that needs to be done, and hoping that all of you out there will join in on this fight, because we all have a place in this. Go ahead, Antoine. Antoine saying he want to say something.
Think about this. Think about how many people listening to this program, and you probably heard it too, all around the country saying, I'm voting for Donald Trump because he's going to make our economy better, or he's going to make our economic situation better, and all this. And you think about what that has gotten us as Black Americans, because there's a lot of Black Americans who are repeating their narrative about Donald Trump is going to make the economy better, he's going to make things whole. Look, we've got the worst economy we've had perhaps since 2003. Perhaps the worst economy we've had since the Great Recession. And so for anybody who don't believe, one, their vote matters, or two, being educated and informed on the reality, not what you read on Twitter, not what somebody reposts, but some of the facts about African-American unemployment rate, the facts about 1 million jobs lost, the fact about the racial wealth gap, the fact that people are paying more for the health care, the fact that hospitals are closing, the fact that people are taking out loans who are making six-figure income just to buy groceries. Those are facts. Yeah. And this is all because of Donald Trump, not because of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris or the Democrats.
That's right. That's right. And as Tanya is saying, on the message board, there are a lot of people working in government, who get help with SNAP. There are, as Bruce was saying, seeing those MAGA folks standing in line for food in Iowa. So this is not a Black problem, as people are starting to see it as it unfolds, right? That there are a lot of people, like you said, who voted for Donald Trump, who are now dealing with the ramifications of some of the things that he has, tried to set in place. And so this is not, this is something that is going to be affected by everyone if we, as we're dealing with someone who literally is aiming to be a dictator. This is something that is affecting everyone, and we're now seeing the ramifications of who y'all voted for, right? In plain day, this is how it goes. And so the question becomes, what next? What do we do now? And yeah, I think you're right, Tanya. Thank you for your comment on the message board. Before we go back to the phones, I see folks holding on, but I know we're going to get cut off by the break. And there's the music. So we're going to take this break. Dominique Sharpton sitting in with Antoine C. Wright. It's Hot Button Issues Monday. We're taking your calls and we're taking your messages on the message board. But you can call and join in on the conversation. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Joining James Brown, Muhammad Ali, and myself now from New York City is the Reverend Al Sharpton. And Mr. Brown, James, I'd like to ask you about this young man, how you came to meet him, and what the National Youth Movement, which he represents, is all about. Tell me something about it.
Teaching young kids the right way to go, and the things to be involved in education. Don't be a dropout, which is one thing I'm very much behind. Unless kids have guidance, they have no place to go. And the idea is to try to mold them. I mean, we think of anything, we think of it as a baby. And what we mold them to be is what it will be later on. He used to stand at my back door, and he believed in what I said, the Don't Be a Dropout program, and the fact of helping kids and giving them the right idol and the right image to go with, cleaning, grooming, and wanting to work, wanting to be something. I started as a kid, a juvenile delinquent, and everything. Had no model. And I was able to be a model for a young man like this. And what he turned out to be is a minister, and he preaches the right thing, and I'm for him 1,000%. I'm for everything he's about.
Mr. Sharpton, how national right now is the National Youth Movement? Is it something new? Has it been going on for a while? Do you have a stated number of members? Tell me something about it.
Well, we don't really get into a numbers game because that's been a trick that has been played for the last 20 years. What we're basically interested in doing is saying to young people of impoverished backgrounds that there are people like a Muhammad Ali and a James Brown that represents hope to us. Because these people, despite all of the social odds, despite the unemployment statistics, despite the lack of education in their day, were able to grow and be something that we can be proud of.
A man like me didn't have a father at home, but I had a James Brown to look up to and would want to sing and dance like him, or Muhammad Ali, who I saw stand up and give away millions of dollars of stamps to the government so that I would have a right to come 10 or 20 years later and try to fight for my kids. So what we're saying is there are symbols and images that kids can look up to and not have to throw a brick through a window, but that can work by the sweat of their brow and succeed, just like these two gentlemen did.
But considering the numbers of young kids today, and Rev, there are hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of kids who really are in hopeless and desperate situations, is it enough to just offer them an example?
You say hopeless, though. Not hopeless.
Well, let's say, well, to them, to them 10, 11, 12-year-old kids,
it's never
Jim.
Hopeless. There's no such thing as hopeless. It's never hopeless. When I got 8 to 16 years for breaking and entering as a kid, because I was hungry, and here I am today, it's not hopeless. Just don't say hopeless. Then we're carving out. I don't believe in hopeless. Don't you think it's hope? If you believe in something, try it. No such hopeless. I don't believe in hopeless. We're not going to go with that. And I think he's not about teaching them how to get out and fight for themselves. That's what it's about. No, it's not hopeless. Everybody has a cause and everything, but everybody want to live. And I think living is what we're about. We're not going to teach dying. Hopeless is dying.
I agree with you 100%, James. But what I'm trying to ask here is simply saying you too can be a James Brown or a Muhammad Ali. Is that enough to give a kid who's hungry, who doesn't know where his next meal is coming?
I'll say it.
Give him somewhere to go.
I think it's awful weak to tell a kid you can be a James Brown, one of the greatest entertainers in the world, and me, one of the greatest fighters. And like you said, the hundreds of thousands of millions of kids that need a break. You can't have that many great people, but they can get educated. They can go to school. They can learn. I'd like to say one thing. We have crime today. It's a big problem. I think they took a national vote on what the people want the government to spend most of the money on, and crime was over national defense. Worrying about Russia, China, outside enemies, they're worrying about inside crime. We have crime today, all type prostitution, murder, exploitation, degradation, and wars of all kinds. And I'm going to tell you why everything's happening. And I think if you're intelligent, you agree with it. If we were riding an airplane and the two pilots died for some reason, is there anybody in this room that can go in the cockpit, pick up the radio, start working it, bring the plane in, depressurize it as it land, and make it, and late at night on a stormy day? You couldn't do it.
Right.
Well, but if you learn how to fly, or if they show you how to fly, you can. Since God made the world and God made us, He sent the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, sent Moses, Jesus, Noah, to show us how to run the world. And God left His laws. If we don't follow His laws, then we crash.
Let me say this, though, Mr. Snyder, in response to your question to Mr. Brown, Mr. Ali. Yes, it is enough to begin with showing them an example, because before you get to education, you need motivation. If you don't have motivation to get out of the bed, you won't make school or the party. And what we try to do by showing a James Brown or Muhammad Ali is not that you can be a great champion maybe like Ali or a great entertainer like James Brown, but if you use the same initiative that they did to make him get up 5 in the morning and run 10 miles and just have a dream and to come back 3 times and accomplish that dream, to have more hits than anybody in the world, even when the music world wouldn't give him credit for it in terms of a James Brown. If you had that initiative to keep working at whatever it is that you're going to do, you can succeed. And what we're saying to them is you may not reach the plateau of public prominence of them, but if you can reach the personal discipline and personal motivation of them, you can reach a plateau in your life. Because it's not about looking for a government handout, it's about looking for a way out, as James Brown said.
All right, and then how receptive are the young people that you tell this to?
Very receptive.
Really?
Very receptive. Very receptive. I think that people have misunderstood that most people of impoverished and depressed areas are not looking for the government to give them something. They just want a chance. I remember when I was a little boy, James Brown used to sing, I don't want nobody to give me nothing, just open the door, I'll get it myself. Well, that's all people want now is a chance. Let me get a piece of the action. Let me get a piece of the pie. Let me stand up on my own.
Right. At one
man should have the major corporations, the government, should get behind him and push the programs that he's about.
Except maybe if he does it himself and gets grassroots support, it's better than having the government stick their nose in, because they have a way sometimes.
We're not talking about control.
Yeah.
We're not talking about control. We're talking about a way of start. You know, they have to start. If they fund crisis and fund all these different other things, they can fund a small man to get started. Then the private sector will join in, but let them help too. It should be.
Last thing. Somewhere along the line here tonight, we used a graphic saying long, hot summer. Are you in any way, I'm certain you're not predicting a long, hot summer. You're not predicting urban strife. You're not predicting disorder, anything like that.
Well, what I'm saying is, you know, at home you have an oven. There are flames on top of the oven, and then there's heat in the oven. We always discuss whether there'll be a flame on the top, and don't discuss it. There's already 600 degrees inside. I'm not concerned as much about a long, hot summer because it's been a long, hot winter. Yeah. People are unemployed. Okay. People are unemployed. People are getting their homes ripped off. Parents' pocketbooks being snatched. As Ali said, crime is at a highest rate it's ever been. So rather than us running around the streets looking for a brick, we should be looking at the fact the brick is already in most people's houses. How do we get the brick out of the house? How do we cool the long oven out? Let's not wait for the explosion and then just cut the flames off upstairs. Let's put the flame out inside. And the only way to do that is everybody to get up and work by the sweat of their brow in America and try to produce, be productive like these two gentlemen have been in their life against all odds. They came up in a world that was alien to them, and they made it. And we can make it if we have the same initiative they did.
Mr. Sharpton, it's been a pleasure to have you here tonight, and I've enjoyed meeting you very much. Thank you for coming by, and thank you, James Brown, for being with us again. Kent, thank you for being here tonight.
We have a young man in the studio who I think is an astounding young brother because of his youth. He's only 19 years old, and he's accomplished a lot, and he's here to make a presentation to James Brown, and we'd like to welcome him warmly. His name is Al Sharpton. How about it for Al Sharpton? Al is the national director of the National Youth Movement Incorporated. Right, Al?
That's right.
And what do we have here?
Well, we come to break tradition. We know that in the recording industry that they give a gold record to those that achieve a million seller. But we view your million seller payback as a black record because it is relevant and says many of the things that young blacks have tried to say and could not musically express in our own little way. And we feel the payback is sort of like the theme song of Young Black America in 1974. Yeah.
Now, before you go into the title tune of your latest album, you have a special guest.
Yeah, I do have a special guest, a young lady.
That's going to perform with you?
Yeah.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Dominique Sharpton sitting in with Antoine Seawright. It's Hot Button Issues Monday. Al is holding on line 3, listening to us.
No.
The United States, and him moving an aircraft carrier into those waters and all of that is to intimidate them to retaliate, because the president cannot declare a war unless someone attacks us first. Congress is the only people that can declare a war in this country, and there's only been 5 declared wars in this country. I teach some of this stuff to veterans at the university about our history in combat and what have you, and veterans benefits. And the man is a fool but he's doing everything he can to not have to leave office when his term comes up. And he's trying to create a dictatorship. We need to protect our children. I was a victim of the Vietnam War. I got wounded. I survived. I came back. And in my family, my grandfather, my mother, my father, one of my sisters, two sons, and three uncles, all are military people. And it's a matter of he is trying to do this to to eliminate as many African Americans as possible because they assume that they're going to draft all these people into his war and get them killed. That's what they tried to do to us in Vietnam. They were taking people, what we call cripple crawling and crazy, and putting them in the service and putting them in the front lines, getting them killed off. And they talk about the 59,000 we lost in Vietnam. We lost a whole lot more than that before that, just in that draft situation. And that's what they're trying to recreate. So
Very
we got to
interesting.
do something. And number one is everybody needs to contact their congressman, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, and put their feet to the fire about representing the people, not the politicians. And until we start making those calls and putting pressure on those people who claim they represent us, nothing's going to change. Have a good day, my dear.
Thank you, Al, and thank you for your service. Certainly, thank you for your service. My mom is a veteran as well, so thank you so much for that. And thank you for, of course, all that you're doing to empower, educate, and to certainly support the veterans. Very, very important. So thank you so much. And thank you for keeping it real. I want to go back to the message board. I know y'all are joining us a little late today, but so I want to give you as much love as we possibly can because I know Rev appreciates, and certainly I appreciate engaging on the message board and hearing and seeing your comments and those that are being a part of the discussion. So good afternoon to you, Evangelist Ramsey. I send you love, my sister, and good afternoon to Leslie Jennings and to Mona Fitch. Y'all know my eyes are kind of bad. I'm sorry. I'm trying to read everybody's name and comment. And good afternoon to you, Cedric Cooper. And your comment when Trump said America would be great again, he really meant turn back the hands of time. There are no blacks in his administration, and there are towns for whites only, such as Ozark, Arkansas. You heard about that, Antoine?
I haven't, but that's why I keep it real every Monday so I can learn.
Oh, wow. That is something for sure. Yep, crippled, crawling, and crazy. Just heard that. I heard that too, Brother Al was talking about. So much. Thank you so much, message board, for your comments. Jalen, go up a little bit. Let me get some more message board comments in. Somebody was talking about how Trump and Elon Musk didn't steal the election. Interesting comment. Thank you so much for that. Go on up. Jalen is 19 and she is slow moving, slower than me. I'm almost 40 years old, Jalen, and you can't move the screen up for me. Lord help me, Lord Jesus. Let's go to Doris, listening to us from Milwaukee, listening to us on line 2. You're keeping it real, Doris. Good afternoon.
Thank you for taking my call. My eyes are bad too, but I completely
My eyes are
agree.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't read my notes, but I agree with the caller from Germany. We already know what this convict rapist has. We already know. So that there is right as regards to the files, we already know that. What I do wonder if we know about the 60 Minutes that came on talking about you know who pardoning um, Yao from China, and China giving his son $2 million and he's denying that he knows anything about that. We already know that. I think that we're judging, who differently than we should be. We're treating him as a being, a human being. Um, Getting off the subject, I think he's like Quasimodo, the Hunchback of Notre Dame, deep bell ringer, and you can get all the reasons why. Starting with the farmers, how he took the soybeans and sent them over to China and etc. And each one of the you callers can come up with 1,000 different reasons. The bottom line is that in front of our face, who is doing treason to the United States government. And we all see it, and it's coming up in front of our face on a daily thing. Does Seabrooks know anything about this crypto with the liberty, the currency that Trump is trying to change? I think Trump is not concerned at all with people. He wants to replace people with machines. And I think this is happening over in China or someplace about this cryptocurrency that Trump is bringing into and got a liberty. It was on 60 Minutes last night. I'm going to hang up now because I'm losing my thought, and I'll try to call back. And
No, that's all right. I didn't hear about that. I don't know if Brother Antoine is privy to it, but I think the information, thank you so much for informing us, Sister Doris, and you being in Milwaukee. I think, is a testament also of, the reach and, of course, how we need to keep reaching one and teaching one. So I thank you for calling us all the way from Milwaukee and for expressing, of course, what we need to know. And so
Check
thank you.
Treason,
Say that
thank
again.
You.
I couldn't hear you.
Treason is destroying the government, and he's been doing that in front of our face. And then bragging how he's going to do it. And he said that in Project 25. He told us what he was going to do. And
that's the word there.
So
thank you, Doris. I hear the music, so let's take that break. Anita London, I'm coming to you after the break. I got more message board comments as well. Let's get it in before we got to get on out of here. Dominique Sharpton sitting in with Brother Antoine. We'll be right back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron, so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf, because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president, but we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're gonna have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm going to keep marching. I'm going to keep agitating. And I'm going to keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time. Mariah, christen your kids. And I promise you this, the only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again.
It's been a long time coming, but I know
1968, Dr. Martin King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
I have a dream today.
When they came from the dream. Keep the dream alive on Wall Street. No justice, no justice, no justice. What do we want? What do we want?
We are the stars and the daughters.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Dominique Sharpton. It's been a pleasure sitting in for the Rev today with Brother Antoine Seawright, taking all of your calls on this Hot Button Issues Monday. Thank you to our message board. Patricia Carter saying hello, Reverend Sharpton. Hello, it's Dominique, but hey, girl, hey. Thank you, and Nan, for keeping the fight for democracy. Thank you so much for your comment. Thank all those who are joining us on the message board with your comments. We appreciate you. Want to lift you up. Let y'all know that Rev will be back with us tomorrow, but it's been a pleasure keeping it real, and I got a couple of folks, on the line, holding, trying to get him in. So Sister Anita, let's go to you listening to us on line 1 from Chapel Hill. Anita, you're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hi, is Mr. Seawright still there, Reverend Seawright?
Reverend Seawright. Antoine is on here.
All right. Hi. It's sad when grown men live like children that want everything and use their brute strength to dominate life. And we know God said he provides for your brute strength in the end. When he takes it from you, you won't have anything. But I guess he needs to they want to be embarrassed. So we must let them, but we must protect the children and ourselves from it, and the sick and the weak, and continue to come out and fight and ask for these. And hopefully people won't think partying and fingernails and eyelashes and drinking and, drunkenness is more important than coming out to these rallies that we have to have and speaking our voice. God gives us all a fingerprint, and we need to use our voice as a fingerprint that God gave us to speak up for what we feel is correct and what's not correct. And I'm sorry that we have grown people that never learned wisdom in life, and maybe they were never given it as children and they never picked it up. So I'm sorry. I apologize to the younger generation, but we're fighting. We're fighting to try to keep it the way God said keep it, and we will win in the end.
Absolutely. No, I think we will definitely win, and we got to keep, thank you so much for your call, Sister Anita, but we got to keep, raising the alarm for justice, raising the alarm for equality. And no matter what it takes, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Reverend Sharpton talks about that all the time. But even if as we continue to see even victories or progress happening in our lifetime, we know that we have to continue the fight for our future generations, because they deserve for us to stay in the fight, just as we deserved for our forefathers to fight for us. We wouldn't be where we were if we are where we are if they didn't fight for us. And so that's why we will continue to lift up the names like Reverend Jesse Jackson and Reverend Al Sharpton, and those who were unapologetic in their stance to stand up for, against all odds, against, threats, against people, and people who are wicked and people who think wickedly, trying to destroy and demise. We have to persevere through. And so we are always thankful for those voices who stood up for us and who spoke up for us and who really energized us to stay in the fight and to stay active. So, I'm thankful. Every day I wake up, it's like, what can I do? What can I do? And not just being born into it, but being a beneficiary of the service, being a beneficiary of the sacrifice and the fight. It just enables us, right, Antoine, to keep going and keep moving. I do want to iterate before we get back to some more messages and calls that MSNBC is now MS Now, and you can watch Reverend Sharpton on MS Now every Saturday and Sunday live at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, different times and different zones that you're in, 4 o'clock p.m. Central or 2 o'clock p.m. Pacific. And as always, every Saturday, Reverend Sharpton is at the House of Justice, where we hold our Saturday action rallies, of course, featuring the Reverend Al Sharpton, who keynotes the rallies every Saturday. You can watch it live on Impact Television at 10 o'clock a.m., or you can tune in to 107.5 WBLS FM radio in New York. But tune in. I think that is some of Reverend Sharpton's most energized sermons, as you can say. And I go to church on Saturdays, but I also get the information, and I'm informed, and I get my energy, right, to stay in the fight and stay active and to figure out exactly how we can stay involved and stay active with one another. And then tonight I'll be at Nan's Youth Huddle as we convene every Monday evening. Sister Ramsey on the message board has reminded me to announce it, so thank you so much, that we are live at the House of Justice, 6 o'clock p.m. with our young dreamers of today and leaders of tomorrow. And we're going to talk about a lot tonight, Brother Antoine. We're going to talk about, of course, this $500 million boost for HBCUs and tribal colleges. Got a lot to talk about around that, and how, of course, in the new trend, Black men are ditching tracksuits for quarter zips and calling themselves young gentlemen. So we see a shift, of course, in the culture. And Reverend Sharpton talked about decency all the time, and how the correlation, of course, between hip hop music and how that's evolved from, the cultural essence of being black and proud, and James Brown and people like that, who were igniting our culture with the trending statements to exemplify black excellence and to exemplify being prideful and being proud of who we are. Morphing through, of course, the hip hop culture. And then, of course, as we are dealing with, criminal justice reform and over mass incarceration, and fighting for quality education, and fighting for, just a seat at the table, and for our hand in the pot, and for reparations, and for financial equity, and so many other things, we have to also be conscious of what we're putting on, what we are allowing in our minds, what we are allowing our ears to hear, what we are allowing, of course, for our spirits to take in. And so we're talking about, of course, the shift in culture, and definitely, what we wear and how we represent ourselves is something that we always talk about, especially as young people. And then we're also talking about, of course, after this significant, as I mentioned earlier in the media, how we talked about it, and it's happened in North Carolina over the weekend. But of course, this major uptick in dealing with ICE raids across the country, and how we are seeing, overall, the United States schools have seen a drop in immigrant student enrollment. The HuffPost has written an article about that we're going to discuss. So all of this happening tonight at the Nan Youth Huddle. We invite you, of course, to join us. If you are in New York City, you can join us live at the House of Justice, or you can join us in our message board live at nationalactionnetwork.net. Brother Antoine, you got something else to add before we got to take it on out of here on this Hot Button Issues Monday?
I would say, Dominique, we have to be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord as we move forward. And as Black Americans, we've got to know that all progress is not permanent, and we've got to implement our Timex spirit in these days, because as Dr. King said, that we got some difficult days ahead of us, as he said in 1968, and that means we've got to be able to take a licking and keep on ticking. And I know you will, and I will too, so now we've got to bring everybody else into the I will category as well.
I agree with that, and I agree that certainly we got a lot of work to do, and certainly as we know that we are, heading into the holiday season, we got a lot of people talking about, are we going to lose health care? We got a lot of people talking about and trying to fight for, their SNAP benefits to not be taken away, and so many other things. And as we're moving through, seeing this uptick in the need, people need resources, they need food, people need support, people need guidance. We're seeing that uptick, and we're seeing that increase all across the board, across the country. And so we are, definitely trying to do our part. Those of you who can join us, of course, on Thanksgiving Day, as we know, we do every single year. We'll be feeding live at the House of Justice from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can come on by and get a hot meal, and you can fellowship, of course, with some wonderful, amazing people. And you can do that. Join us at the House of Justice live, 106 West 145th Street in the village of Harlem. And we're also, giving away turkeys a couple of days before that. So you who want to cook your meal but may need a turkey for your meal, you can come to the House of Justice and pick up a turkey while supplies last, starting at, I believe, 5 o'clock p.m. At the House of Justice, and that will be on Tuesday, the 25th. So yes, a lot going on, and we have to continue to just be mindful of what we are doing, how we're staying involved, and if we have information, spread it, because a lot of people need it, and we've got to reach one and teach one. So with that said, I want to thank everyone who joined us, who called in on Hot Button Issues Monday and got through and shared your comments, and for those who were holding on and we didn't get to, please call again tomorrow, because Rev will be back with us live on Keeping It Real, and we want to hear from you. Thank you to all those who joined us on the message board. As always, we appreciate you. You held on with us. We had some difficulties in the beginning, but you held on through with us, and we appreciate you for sure, and all that you do. I want to thank, of course, our executive producer, Fatin Muhammad, our tech producer, DJ Phil, and our phone tech and segment producer, DJ Waya. Thank you to Brother Antoine Seawright for joining us as you do every Hot Button Issues Monday. And thank you all, Reverend Sharpton, as he says, whatever you do, wherever you go, and however you feel, make sure you tell someone that Rev, make sure you tell someone that Dominique, make sure you tell someone that Brother Antoine keeps telling y'all every day, you got to keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. We'll see